So the job today, we're pausing the tidy of the workshop, which is as ever in a dreadful state. I've now got battery charges in the way, but we'll leave those in a moment. I'm going to fix this. This is a muck rake, or part of a muck rake from a stable, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but here, let me just see if I've got it in the centre. Where are you? There you go. There, there, and there. Yes, so all those three places there, and here, here, and here, have all snapped. You can't really see it, but actually, just before I started, I foolishly straightened it up so it all snapped back into place. But you can probably see here, this is broken. Can you see there? There, there, and there. There we are. There, there, and there, broken, and there, there, and there are broken. Which means all the force is going on these two bits of plastic here, which of course will snap. You can see, well, you might not be able to see, but they are in fact slightly deformed. So that's going to break, and then we'll have to get a new one, which we don't want to do. So, what can you fix it with? Well, I'm going to make it a very simple strap using a baking tray, obviously, because that's the main thing. This one was ready to go to the scrap. It's a bit rusty and unpleasant, but it is a piece of steel, so we're going to use that. And steel isn't ideal because the stuff this thing picks up is quite corrosive, and I'm sure it will rust the steel, but never mind, it'll last longer. Yeah, it'll last a while, and then the handle's going to give out, and whatever. Anyway, I will have more of it because there's obviously more than I need for this job. So we'll do that, and start with, I'm going to get a bit of cardboard. I'm going to make an attempt to see what the strap should look like, so that's what I'm going to do. We'll have a go with that in a moment. So I've got my bit of cardboard. That's the thickness, the width rather, of the strip that I want to use, and that's the approximate length. I did it by just, as you probably saw before, putting the cardboard on, bending it over till it was approximately where I wanted it, and that's enough, I think. Obviously I want to avoid the hole where the screw goes in. I could do it over there, but it doesn't make much difference because these bits of plastic here will push it up anyway, so this is the best place for it. And I've got to curve it round this round bit. I think probably easier if I find something which is approximating to that diameter, and then form it round. I'm going to make two of them, and I'm trying to work out how to do a nice shape. So let's grab a couple of scraps of cardboard, approximately the same size. Here we are. Just put that one away because that's the master one. What I'm sort of thinking of doing, and I don't know if it's going to work, is let's assume this was the right size. It isn't, but let's assume it is for a moment. Obviously, what I'd like to be able to do is make something which is like that. It's obviously a little bit harder to do with steel. I'm not adept at these things. What I think I might do is pop it into a vise, squish the two bits till they're flat, pop the round thing in, and literally bend this round so that it forms round at least half of it. Flip the whole thing over, put that into the vise and bend it together until I end up with the perfect shape. Certainly what's going to happen is I won't get a perfect shape. I'll end up with some triangles. I will end up with cut fingers, and the whole thing will be a horrible disaster. Or it might just work. Now we've got to cut it. I have a tool here somewhere, which might do the job, if I can find it. I bought this in the 1970s. Might even have bought it in the 1960s. It's called an Eclipse 2000. It's a very cheap nibbler, and it used to come with it did come with several blades, but this is the only one that remains. It's not like one of the nice big nibblers I used to have at work at one time for cutting tin sheet. It might just get through this. It used to get through all sorts of things. I mean, it was really designed for sort of alley and things, but it won't get through the rolled edges, so I'm going to have to cut those with a hacksaw. So we'll do that, and then you can see me struggling to cut it with the other tool. Okay, as a safety measure, I'm going to put my work gloves on just to try and resist the sharp edges. Right, we'll start nibbling. Well, that worked. Okay. I think this is the sort of thing that people speed up in their videos, so we might just do the same. Funny actually, this is called an Eclipse 2000, which, well, it's back to front, isn't it? I'm doing because I'm doing it on the front camera. Anyway, it is an Eclipse 2000. Back in the 1970s, the word 2000 sounded awfully futuristic, and that's why it's all got sort of angles and, yeah, very spacey, like some sort of ray gun. Of course, now if you call a product something 2000, it feels rather old-fashioned. The classic 2000, you might say. And there we are. This is the sort of curl of steel you get as you're cutting it. Obviously, I've got now to a bent end and a roll, and of course I've got to cut this roll, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I shall just do it and show you the results in a minute. So here are the two bits of metal we've cut, and the edges are razor sharp. One thing that little cutter does when it cuts steel is produce really sharp edges, so I'm just going to dull the edges a little bit by rubbing them with a file just to round them off. It's not because of not to make the product all nice and smooth, but just to try and save me fingers and my gloves, which this stuff just cuts straight through if you're not clever. And these corners are magnificent as weapons, but we don't want to use them as weapons, we want to use them as things in the workshop. I'm going to be cutting these off and doing it. Feels better already actually. Yeah, just dulls it a bit. We don't want to be too safe in the workshop, but we don't want to actually deliberately hurt ourselves, do we? And we're going to be doing bending, so that's a bit raised there. That's better. And that one. There we are. That feels better. I bought these gloves at a motorway service station a while ago. They're on the M4 somewhere, and they're designed for truck drivers, but they're brilliant. They're only about 99p or £1.99 or something. They've open weave at the back, so you don't get too hot when you're working, but they've got this sort of nitrile finish on the front, which gives them a bit of grip. And I've used them all winter for doing all sorts of jobs, and it's nice to have. They're better than the big red ones for light work. I mean, they're still not ideal for finicky work, but never mind, I'm not doing finicky work. Carving a bit of baking sheet. Right. Yeah. That'll do it. And now we're going to do bending. I've marked the centre line and two lines which you can't see here and here. I've done that by taking this piece of cardboard and wrapping it around the shaft of the tool to about halfway, marking it off so I know that that's the distance that it needs to be. So I've marked the two lines. I can't put it in the centre of the vise because the vise isn't quite deep enough to take the length of metal. So I've got one edge clipped and the other edge just to stop it opening with a bit of mole grip. Next thing is I need something which is the same diameter as the shaft of the tool. Now this piece of wood is just close enough. This is precision engineering, I want to let you know. This is what Swiss watchmakers use for getting the roundness of their dials. This is actually a piece of ash tree, which is growing unwantedly in the garden. Well, was unwanted, but of course all that 20 years it was growing for, and this little branch has come in useful at last. So I knew it would come in useful for something. So I'm going to plonk that in here and wrap this round it. That's the theory. So let's see if it works. Well, that bit's got round. Not quite perfect, but close. I would say that's going to work pretty well. And I shall use pliers just to crimp it. Try not to crimp myself. Notice how my hands are not yet bleeding, thanks to the rounding of the at the edges. I'd say that that's pretty good. And what I'm going to do now, at the risks of the whole thing, is flip this over and just crimp that a bit more with this. In fact, I don't think I need to. That's perfect. Close enough for show bits. Right, there we are. So that's my two almost round bits. There we are, that's close enough. So we're just going to trim the lengths, drill holes, put some nuts and bolts in, and that'll be the job done, I think. Pretty close. Now we have the rake back. I'll plonk this on here, and you can see how it fits, just like that. One on that side, one on that side. And then we're just going to sandwich them together with a couple of bolts. And that will be nice and strong, and I think will provide enough strength for this to last for quite a little while longer. So we just need to start marking and drilling. So the two bits are trimmed to length. This one I've just put a couple of bevels on the corners, because that's the side that's facing the customer, Jane. Anyway, it's not hugely square. It's art, you see, and I might do the same at the back, but before I do, the back mouldings are very slightly different to the front mouldings, so I'll do that. Next thing to do is to drill holes for screws, or nuts and bolts, in fact. So we'll do that. So we've marked up the bit of metal. Let's just punch some starter marks with a centre punch. Yeah. Well, we've cut the holes in the bits of wood, bits of metal rather. We've bent them to the right sort of shape, and now we're going to stick them on here. I'm using M6 bolts and M6 self-locking washers, which I've temporarily got a bag of them there. Nylon locking washer. Nuts. The reason we're using M6 nuts and bolts is because that's what I've got. I just happen to have 8 of them, scrabbling around, finding one which is a bit sort of murky looking, but it's all right. We've got those. They're going to look very murky after they've been in use for a short time. I would have used 12 if I'd had them, but I only had 8, so we use 8. And that's it. We probably need to put some washers on just to spread the load a bit. So I'm going to plunk these together, but let's just throw a bit together and see what it looks like. Is that going to go through? Yeah, actually they're the right length. Good God! I thought they'd be too down the way, but there we are. One in place. I'm just going to use an ordinary nut just for the speed of putting it on. Oops, there it is. And then we'll put self-locking on in a minute. Once we've, yeah, gracious me, almost as if it was designed. Always slightly surprised when things I do actually work, though I shouldn't be. I should be confident. Have confidence in yourself, Hugh. That's what people say. I would say. There we are. So that's the general idea. That's going to go on there. That's going to hold it all together, and we'll bolt it up. So yeah, we'll put the nuts and bolts on and see what it looks like. And here is the finished article. A couple of these bolts are a little bit longer or a little bit shorter than the others, but that's because I had to use what I've got lying around as usual. But there we are. I think that's going to be probably strong, or hopefully a little bit stronger than the original, but certainly as strong. And there we are, a finished muck rake, ready for its duties in the barn.